Yeah, thank you for joining us for our Power BI webinar. It's really great to be here talking to you all today. I'm Ryan Gray, CTO at Marra, a tech consultancy specialising in Power Platform. We're based up in Gateshead and we work with large enterprises, public sector organisations, charities and SMEs. So what we're going to be covering today, well, first we'll do some introductions. I'll talk about the business value of Power BI to set the scene. My colleague Ola will walk through a live workshop from initial problem to unlocking data insights. Then we'll cover a Marra success story, followed by some upcoming Power BI features. While we're running through all of that, feel free to drop questions in the chat and into the Q&A feature. We won't be answering those as we go. We'll pick those up at the end. And then we'll move on to a wrap-up. And just to mention, this session is being recorded and we'll send it around afterwards so you can revisit or share it with others. Okay, so this section will be about the business intelligence challenges that organisations face, what Power BI is and its business value, how it all fits together, the process you wrap around it, and how that all results in solutions to those initial challenges. So thinking about the priorities with data of trust, clarity and access and scale, let's think through what's getting in the way. And to think through that, let's look at some challenges you might recognise from your teams and organisations. So a typical team might spend hours each month pulling figures into Excel, reformatting charts and emailing them around manually and in an ad hoc way. Different teams work from different versions, so no one agrees on what the numbers and metrics actually say. Your data ends up being split across different systems. So for example, some data in your HR system, some in your finance system. Reports are static, shared as PDFs or spreadsheets that quickly go out of date. And when someone new needs access, it's usually a manual ad hoc request. And what all of this does is it slows things down and it makes confident decision making harder than it should be. And if that sounds familiar, you're not alone, and it's something that we've repeatedly seen in our work here at Marra. So given those challenges, what is it that helps? Power BI is Microsoft's analytics platform built for organizations dealing with complex reporting across different teams and systems. It supports self-service analytics while maintaining structure and control. For simple reports, it has a low-code drag-and-drop interface, but where needed, tools like Power Query and DAX let you handle more advanced data cleaning and logic, so you're not limited by simplicity, but you're also not forced into full-scale development mode either. There are built-in features for quick analysis too, like AI visuals and natural language queries that summarize data or highlight trends on the fly. And instead of circulating spreadsheets, dashboards provide a shared, up-to-date space for exploring what's happening. Power BI also offers out-of-the-box accessibility, things such as keyboard navigation, screen reader support, and alternative text. This is to help reports meet accessibility standards, and it enables you to reach every user no matter their ability. Power BI also includes important features for governance, such as role-based access, audit logs, and data lineage views. These are useful for meeting compliance requirements and building trust in your metrics and KPIs. So used correctly, Power BI will begin to shift your manual reporting in your organization towards something more unified, secure, and visually appealing. So now that we've seen what Power BI is and what it offers, let's talk about the impact that it can have. When information is scattered or delayed, it's hard to move quickly or stay aligned. Power BI helps surface the right information at the right time, so whether you're leading a service area or part of a delivery team, you have clarity on what's actually going on in your team. The ability to explore live data makes it easier to test assumptions, compare outcomes, or ask what if before decisions are made. That's really useful whether you're adjusting budgets, planning capacity, or tracking service demand. It's also designed to fit into existing ways of working. Reports can be accessed via Teams or your mobile phone, making it easier to keep everyone on the same page, even when they're not in the same place. And another thing to note here is that it is very easy to get caught up in how Power BI reports look and feel. The visuals and the interactivity are nice and shiny, but the real value is not the polish. Put simply, it's the ability to give people the tools to understand what's happening in your team in the moment and act on it. So now that we've looked at what Power BI is and the kind of value that it can offer, let's go one level deeper and discuss how it all fits together. So the starting point is Power BI Desktop, and this is where analysts or report builders connect to data sources. So anything from Excel and SharePoint to SQL, SAP, or APIs. You clean and shape that data using tools such as Power Query, and then build a semantic data model, which defines how data sources link together, and then you decide which calculations are going to drive your visual insights. And once your semantic model and reports are built, you then publish that to the Power BI service. That's a cloud platform that handles sharing, version control, and access management. This is where reports are consumed by your end users and where dashboards can be collated to bring key insights into one view from multiple reports. And if your data lives on premises rather than in the cloud, you can use what's called a Power BI gateway, which is a locally installed bridge that securely connects your internal on-prem data to the Power BI service that lives in the cloud. And this all comes together to create an extremely flexible architecture, which allows for connection to most data sources and modeling that can bring almost anything together into a nice semantic model, which your visuals are then built on top of. The reports themselves have no idea of the disparate data sources that you're stitching together. They just point at one unified data model. And this is a really wonderful layer of abstraction that really mirrors how your end users also end up seeing the end result. They have no idea about the multiple data sources that are being stitched together, and instead they just see engaging, unified insights. So now that we've seen how Power BI works under the hood, the next question is, how do you use it to deliver something of high value to your end users? We've seen across many projects that while the tool itself is powerful, it's also the process that you build around it that can make the difference. If you don't take the time to build something aligned with real user needs, grounded in good data and shaped by feedback, it's really unlikely to become a well-used and well-loved dashboard. In our experience, the most successful projects follow a simple three-phase approach. So that's discover on the left, design in the middle, and deploy on the right-hand side. So in the first phase, the discover phase, you take a beat and pause before building, and you start defining what success looks like. So that means understanding who needs what, where the data lives, and what decisions and questions you're trying to support and answer via a dashboard. In the design phase, you move on to focusing on building the technical foundation that everything else will rely on. So that means creating a robust semantic data model that reflects how the organization and your team actually works and what they need to answer. Writing clean, reusable measures in tools such as DAX, optimizing performance and refresh schedules, and then putting the right security in place. And finally, in the last phase, that's the deploy phase, you begin rolling it out in a way that people can use. So that's embedding in Teams or SharePoint. You train your users and you make sure that you set up a feedback loop to ensure that your dashboard keeps improving. This kind of approach doesn't guarantee success, but it does massively increase your chances of building something of high value with good user uptake. So let's come back to where I started, at the challenges that make reporting painful and decisions slow for many teams. Manual reporting that used to take hours is now automated and visual, updating as the data changes. Siloed systems are brought together through a single semantic model, giving teams one shared source of truth that you all agree on. Inconsistent KPIs are replaced with standardized approach that aligns everyone on the same metrics. Static exports are replaced with live dashboards that people can explore on their own terms and in their own time. You are beginning to close governance gaps with role-based permissions, audit logs, and data lineage views. And with the right information available when it's needed, decisions happen faster and with more confidence. And all of this delivered by a solid process that makes sure you're building the right thing, using relevant data, and shaping it around your real user needs. So now that we have the context of the business challenges that are solved by Power BI, I'd like to hand over to my colleague Ola. But before I do that, I want to call out something extremely important. So we've just covered the three-phase framework. Let's discover, design, deploy. Now that framework isn't just a process to be followed, it's a methodology and a way of thinking. And that's exactly what Ola's about to walk you through. You'll see a real example focused on road traffic accident data. But the point here is, don't get stuck on the topic. What you should be focusing on is the approach that Ola is taking. The real takeaway here is the mindset. How do you go from a messy, open-ended problem to clear, measurable KPIs and ultimately a dashboard that answers those questions and enables the team to drive decisions? So as Ola presents, keep asking yourself, how could this approach apply to your data, your domain, and your team?
I'm a senior developer at Marra. I have over a decade of hands-on experience in analytics and dashboard design. I have worked on 50 projects, helping teams automate reports and build predictive model. Basically, I translate chaos into charts, and I enjoy making messy data behave. I'm looking forward to taking you through a live example, going from data to insights. Let's get started. In the next 20 minutes, we will define a business problem, walk through our proven solution approach, dive into a live demo, share top takeaways and next steps. Let's dive in. Now, think about your teams. Have you ever waited weeks for that monthly report, only to find out it's too late to influence results? Or juggled spreadsheets from multiple systems and felt like you're missing the big picture? Perhaps you only discover a drop in customer satisfaction long after the fact, or realize you can't compare performance across departments because everyone measures success differently. Take a moment to remember that constant scramble, the guesswork, the delayed decisions. That is what Power BI is built to solve. It gives you a single automated platform for real-time insights so you never miss a beat. Please take note that every Power BI project must start here with one clear, relatable business problem. We have just walked through relatable business scenarios. Now let's bring it home with a live demo using real data from the Department of Transport. Due to client NDA, I can't show you a full Marra solution, but this DFT demo follows the exact process we apply on every Power BI project. Let's begin. Here's the problem statement. In 2023, there were over 100,000 UK road accidents with a 1.5% fatality rate, and our current interventions remain reactive and not working. You'll see how we'll start with that problem statement and end up with actionable insights. Please remember, you can reuse these steps for any Power BI engagement. With the problem statement clear, it's time to show you our roadmap. On the following slides, you'll discover the 6 phases of our Power BI dev process. This is your blueprint for proactive, data-driven interventions. Here is Marra's 6-step formula for every Power BI engagement. Step 1, ask and understand. Step 2, connect and ingest data. Step 3, prepare and model. Step 4, visualize and interact. Step 5, validate and collaborate. Step 6, deploy and monitor. This structured user-centric process ensures every Power BI project delivers real and measurable value. Let's begin with step 1, ask and understand. We know what the problem is, but why is it happening? This step is important before you build any dashboard. We need to understand why the problem exists in the first place. Root cause analysis cuts through surface symptoms, and in my opinion, the simplest and most powerful tool for this is the 5 whys. You ask, why is this happening? Then why is that happening? And so on, 5 times until you uncover the real root cause of the problem. Think of it like being a curious toddler that's always asking why. This approach prevents wasted effort on surface fixes and ensures your dashboard addresses what really matters. After 5 rounds of why, we now know the root causes: lack of automation, siloed data, missing pattern analysis. The next step is critical. We have to shift our mindset from why is this happening to what do we need to see or do, and what specific questions will shape our visuals to drive proactive action. This shift ensures our dashboard is not just highlighting problems, it helps to solve those problems too. And with a bit of machine learning layered in, you can even predict what's next. Here are the 6 business questions we derived using the 5 whys. Take a few seconds to look at them, as each question will directly map to a KPI or a visual element in our demo dashboard. We're not just building pretty charts, we are answering precise questions that drive prevention and performance. Let's hit a pause for a second. You've seen the questions, the one that really matters, but here's the real test. Do your visuals answer business questions like these, or do they just fill up space? Because a beautiful chart that says nothing still says nothing. So you have to make sure that your charts answer questions. Now let's understand our users. At Marra, we follow a human-centered design approach, meaning we begin by engaging real users, defining their personas, iterating on prototypes until the solution fits their needs perfectly. Have a quick look through the personas we have created. It's on the slide towards the left, towards the right. Ideally, each persona will have its own tailored dashboard. However, to keep our demo precise, concise, and straightforward, we have combined all these views into one dashboard. But in your own projects, ensure that you separate the dashboards, create role-based pages so that everyone sees what they need, nothing more and nothing less. With these questions and personas locked down, we move to step 2, which is connect and ingest data. Power BI and Power Platform offer various connectors to hundreds of data sources, all without coding. You just simply drag and drop and click on a few buttons. Here are a few examples on the slide. On this demo, we connected to CSV files. Now that our data is loaded into Power BI, I'll jump straight to step 3, which is prepare and model. Here is a screenshot of the CSV file I mentioned. You can see odd headers, encoded data, and mixed formats. Normally, we'll clean this and reshape in Power Query, but to keep things moving, we'll jump straight to the dashboard. You can also make a request for the Power BI file after the session. Up next is step 4, visualize and interact. Now we've arrived at the heart of our story. I'll show you a live Power BI dashboard embedded directly within PowerPoint. This setup creates an easy path for those who are used to PowerPoint and don't want to dive straight into Power BI. The Power BI and PowerPoint combo delivers interactive insights without disrupting your familiar workflows. It also eases the learning curve while keeping data front and center. At Marra, we believe in storytelling. So each tab is designed to build on the last, guiding you from data quality to trends and ultimately to actionable insights, all within a clear and non-technical interface that you're used to. Let's walk through them one tab at a time. This is the DFT dashboard. At the very top left, you'll see a nav bar. A user can select menu items to flip between reports. Depending on your users, you may want to use simpler or more familiar names for menu items, report titles, and visual headers, because not every user is looking for Insight 360. Sometimes the plain old monthly sales does the trick. The key is to use language your users can relate to. This is the data quality page. On every project delivered by Marra, we always ensure that this page exists because it's your front line, it's your first line of defense. You can use this page to spot any data gaps or issues before you draw conclusions, because having messy data leads to messy conclusions. I'll move to the next tab now. This is the overview page. It has a map that highlights accident hotspots with color intensity and the codes. You can see the codes here, so you can determine whether an accident is fatal, serious, or slight. You can zoom out of the map and zoom in. You can use this map for anything. For example, if you want to track deliveries or you want to track the movement of people, if you have the GPRS data, you can easily plug it into the map. You can also see top hotspots like Birmingham, Leeds in the chart below, key KPIs on top, and other charts. A user can easily filter this report by clicking on any chart or the slicers. For example, if I click on Leeds, the map just realigns to Leeds and the data changes. Now, this page directly answers question 4. Where are the danger zones? But we don't stop there. With Power Automate, you can set up email and Teams alert. So the moment a new hotspot crosses your threshold, your team is notified instantly. And by adding a bit of machine learning, you can go a step further, predicting future hotspots based on historical and contextual data. As you can see that our charts are not just pretty, but they also answer business questions. I'll move to the next tab, which is the victim tab. This page drills into who got hurt, who's most at risk. The AI-powered visuals on the left, that's this, shows factors that make fatal outcomes more likely, like age, vehicle type, and where the person was on the road. This answers question 2. What factors contribute to serious or fatal outcomes? You can easily use this data to drive targeted regulations or infrastructural upgrades. And like I said before, a user can easily click on any chart just to filter the data. You can change the severity rate from here if you want to see more, and then it gets calculated automatically without any effort. I'll move to the next tab, that's the tool and agent tab. This page gives you details on the driver and the vehicle. You see a bar chart on the top center showing you cars are involved in over 130 cases. That's here. That's about 69% of all cases. And among those, Ford Fiesta cars account for 4%. Although cars dominate the total crashes, but vans, motorcycles, and pedocycles, though less frequent, can pose a higher risk per trip. Now, this answers question 3. Which vehicle types drive up risk? And also points to targeted safety campaigns and license restriction. I'll move to the next page. That's the environment page. This page shows that accidents happen most on single carriageways. You can easily get that from here. Using the legend, you can see that purple is for single carriageways and it's always on top. We also have AI analysis at the center. It shows that uncontrolled junctions are one of the key factors that increase the odds of high collision rate. That's here. It shows you the various factors that contribute to a serious fatality. Surprisingly, this report shows that most accidents happen on dry roads and not wet roads. You can tell that by the count with this visual. The insights on this page answers question 6. How can we identify and mitigate high-risk locations instantly? One answer is implementing targeted measures like traffic calming measures or redesigning unsafe junctions based on data and not on guesswork. Plus the automated alerts I discussed earlier, you can also ensure your team responds in real time. Make sure that they are proactive and not reactive. I'll move to the last page, which is called the big picture. This page shows trend over time. You can see the trends using a time series chart and line charts. We also have an AI summary on top that shows that accidents are on the increase about 1.23%, while the bar charts highlight midweek and Friday peaks around 8 a.m., 3 to 6 p.m. You can easily see that here. These are the highest, these are the peaks of the bar chart. While the line chart reveals seasonal spikes during spring and summer. So this page answers question 1, what is happening over time? And question 5, when should we be on high alert? You can use insights on this page to schedule patrols since you know the exact time that accidents happen. For example, 8 a.m., you can have more patrols around 8 a.m. and between 3 to 6 p.m. You can also do public safety campaigns during the summer period and spring. All these insights are great, but what if the user doesn't know how to get there, doesn't know what to look for, or is not tech savvy? Although not shown here, you can integrate Copilot into Power BI, allowing users to ask natural language questions like, show me the new hotspot this week, and get instant answers. It lowers the learning curve and ensures anyone, you don't have to be a subject matter expert to get insight from this dashboard. Now that wraps up our deep dive through each tab, each one building on the last, with visuals designed to answer core business questions. Now you've seen how the dashboard brings data to life, how we moved from raw CSV files with cryptic column names, encoded values, inconsistent formats, to arrive at an interactive Power BI dashboard, packed with clear and actionable insights. I'll move to step 5, which is validate and collaborate. At Marra, we always make sure to validate our analysis with stakeholders. It's better to see the problems early before publishing a beautiful mess and ensuring and creating more problems for your clients. We get stakeholders to comment on the visuals plus insights, run UAT tests, then give us feedback. The users can also use the data quality tab, which flags data sets that are rock solid and the ones that are not. They can also use that to make changes to their data structure and correct issues. We gather the feedback from the users, iterate quickly, and ensure the dashboard solves the right problem before publishing. And finally, we get to step 6, which is deploy and monitor. Once the dashboard is ready, we publish it to the web and Power BI mobile app. So insights are just one tap away. Whether you're on a train or a bus or getting that 3 a.m. call from your CEO asking how is customer retention, you have answers on demand. Behind the scenes, we've set up scheduled refreshes to keep your data up to date. We've configured alerts to ping you the moment anything goes wrong. So you're always in control, you're always proactive and not reactive. And to top it off, you can add AI, Copilot for natural language Q&A, slashing your training time and letting anyone ask questions conversationally on the go. I'll move to the last slide, which is the recap. Today, we have asked the right questions, connected and modeled data, built an embedded dashboard in PowerPoint. We validated it with users, and deployed insights that drive action. This 6-step story works for any Power BI challenge you face. Thank you for following along. Now I'll hand over to Ryan for a real client example.
Okay, thank you for that, Ola. So yeah, as Ola mentioned, so we're going to move on to a real example that we worked on at Marra for a customer called QRoutes. So QRoutes builds route planning tools for home to school transport. Their software helps local authorities plan school transport more efficiently. So think about things like minibus routes, pupil allocations and journey timings. That can be really complicated to bring all that together and make sure that all the routes are efficient as possible. So it's used by transport planners to make decisions that impact hundreds of schools and thousands of children. So QRoutes originally had a dashboard that they called the Vantage dashboard, and that gave users visibility into their transport plans, what routes were set up, how efficient they were, and what changes might help. But there were some real pain points that needed to be addressed with that version 1 of the dashboard. So this first version was mostly static. It showed raw tables of data with very little interactivity. And that made it hard for users to spot trends, explore the data, or really understand what the data meant without already knowing what they were looking for. It also didn't meet accessibility standards, and the look and feel didn't quite align with the rest of the QRoutes brand. So they were looking for help turning this version 1 dashboard into something more interactive, more visual, more accessible, and ultimately easier for their users to engage with. So we started by working closely with their product manager and stakeholders. And importantly, we didn't just build charts, we tried to build something that fit into the way their users think and how they work as well. So we used Power BI to create a new report from scratch, a version 2, something that wasn't just visual, but also met the needs of the users. And one key feature that they needed was the ability for users to leave comments or feedback directly in the dashboard. Power BI didn't support that out of the box at the time, so we embedded a Power App into the report that lets users review the data and add comments inline. So that wasn't something native at the time, and even though it's becoming native through use of translytical flows, it is something that you have to turn on. So by default, dashboards and reports are read-only. So we also redesigned the layout to match QRoutes brand, and when we ensured that the report met AA accessibility standards, so that all of QRoutes users, regardless of ability, could interact with the content confidently and explore it. The resulting dashboard really helped QRoutes present their data in a way that's clear, structured, and very easy to explore in an intuitive way. Their users no longer have to dig through tables or ask someone for help interpreting the data. The visuals now allow their users to just do that themselves and explore the data and find the answers that they're looking for. And from QRoutes' point of view, the value wasn't in the tech stack, it was how the dashboard made their product stronger by giving users clarity, confidence and control all in a safe manner where access to that report is controlled in a governed way. And for us, it was a really great example of how Power BI and Power Apps can work together to go beyond just displaying data and actually improve how people engage with it and explore. So before we start wrapping up, let's take a quick look at where Power BI is heading in the future and some of the new features that are just around the corner. So first of all is the Get Your Data AI Ready ribbon. This is a new ribbon that's appearing in the Power BI desktop. And this is where you set up Copilot for Success. So to do that, you define which tables and fields in your data sources matter the most. You can lock in preferred visuals as verified answers, and you can add plain English instructions for the business context of the data. And what this does is It gives Copilot a kind of curated playbook and natural language context on top of your data, so that it's not having to guess, and it reduces the chances of hallucinations and it making mistakes with interpretation and picking the wrong data for your question. And that feeds us right into the next feature, which is the standalone Copilot chat. So this is a full screen AI experience that's been introduced into the Power BI service. So in feature 1 that I was talking about, you've already AI primed your data model, which means that users can ask any question that they have in natural language, and Copilot will instantly use your created data schemas and instructions to pick the right data set, write DAX on the fly, and build visuals on the fly. And this ultimately gives users ad hoc, contextual business intelligence on demand. The third feature is for the developers out there that are a little bit more technical, or where you've got dashboards and reports that are getting quite complex. So developer mode, basically allows for the use of proper source control, if you're familiar with that. So you can now save your report as a project folder with readable text files. And what that allows for is you can use Git on top of that, which allows you to branch, merge. It also allows you to develop nice CI/CD pipelines on top of that. So basically you can treat your Power BI like code and build it with real developer workflows. Fourth feature is translytical task flows. So I mentioned this earlier when I was talking about queue roots, and queue roots required this ability to write back to the data with comments. So at the time we built that, translytical task flows were not available, but had they been available, we would have used them, because what this does is it can effectively turn your Power BI report into a light application, which allows you to trigger action straight from a button in your report, update the data, maybe approve something or leave a comment, and then you can see that change reflected instantly in your data. And the final feature here is collaborate on sensitive data. So this one's a small but very powerful change. So if you're using sensitivity labels in your Power BI report, Power BI Desktop now lets multiple users co-author those encrypted reports without any extra steps. That used to be quite difficult. It used to require workarounds. But now this allows security to stay enforced, but the workflow of people collaborating together on that secure report, it allows that to stay smooth. So all of these are either in preview or rolling out now, and they give a real clear sense of the direction of Power BI, like where Microsoft are taking it. So there'll be more AI, more interactivity, more collaboration across the people that are building the reports, and more discipline for dev and data analyst teams. So now that you've heard about Power BI, the business challenges that it helps solve, you've also seen a live demo of how it all comes together from OLR. You've seen a Marra case study, and we've thought about what's coming soon in Power BI as well. So that really is quite a lot of material. So I think that it's quite useful for us to take a pause here and then consider, well, how do you get going with all of this stuff? That's very nice, all of that material, but what are the first steps if you're just starting to explore Power BI? So a few things that you might want to take away from the webinar. You might want to reflect on today's framework and some of the stuff that Ola talked about with the 5 whys, that questioning, and pick something from that framework from the early phases and try to get going with one of those early steps. Another thing you might want to do is brainstorm some questions that you or your department are constantly needing to answer, and it's all opinion based, and you can't quite align on what the answers to those questions might be. A third thing you might like to do, you might want to start doing a data source audit to help begin spot any quality or indeed just data gaps. So are there any pieces of data or units of data that you just don't have access to that you're going to need to answer these questions? And you might want to start defining a very small 2 to 4 week pilot that creates one dashboard with some extremely small and clear objectives. We find that the smaller and more focused the objectives, like the better that pilot project will be. And although I've said 2 to 4 weeks there, the smaller you can make that initial phase, like we find the higher the chance of success, because you're starting small and then you can then iterate on it. If it goes well, you can exit if it doesn't go well. And we think that these steps will get you started on the way to a high value Power BI dashboard. We hope you found the presentation shared today useful and informative. And if you're interested in what you've seen or heard, and you want to know more about Power BI or Marra, you can get in touch with us for a no obligation 30-minute chat with us about your teams or your individual circumstances and whatever it is that you're facing.